One, two, three in the place to be. It's your player partners from the bottom of the map.
From the bottom of the map.
It's your dog Israel.
Ike Hayes.
And before we get into it, make sure you like, subscribe, share, tell a friend to tell a friend. It's them again. And jump in the comments and, add your 2 cents in. But we're about to get into the 65 Miami Hurricanes with your coach, Mario Cristobal, ACC Coach of the Year. We've been having this ongoing season long conversation about the status of Mario Cristobal. We've been saying, we've been on his ass the whole time. Like, we're not feeling him as a coach. And a lot of people have been kind of coming up with every other excuse. It's TVD, is this, is that. Um, Mario, he needs 4 years. He needs 5 years. This is a rebuild. Well, we have plenty of rebuttals for all that. So go ahead and jump into it because y'all might not like this one.
Man, let's start there. Rebuild, right? I keep hearing it's a rebuild, it's a rebuild. The year before Mario got here, we went 9-4. All right. We had a top 20 of ranked offense. We're averaging 30-something points a game. And I think the year before that, we went like 8-5, right? I don't really remember. What I do know is that, like, there are certain jobs that's a rebuild. So it's like when you start off with that type of narrative that's a lie, it excuses everything. And so I look at a lot of the podcasts that say he needs time, he had to change the culture. We went 9-4. Our offensive coordinator was Rhett Lashley. If you look at SMU this year, the same thing that he had with his offense, and SMU was clicking. They were like 7-2, maybe 8-2 at this point, you know what I'm saying, right now. So it's like, nah, bro, a rebuild is Auburn, right? Hugh Freeze has to go in there because Brian Harsin then let the team go. There's no ranking, you know what I'm saying? And you don't have a winning record. There's not too many rebuilds where there's going to be a winning record. So it's just like the same thing with Ole Miss. Ole Miss was a rebuild. There was a podcaster talking about like, Canes fans were comparing, you know what I'm saying, Ole Miss to UM. Yes, they should. We have a higher expectation, but they've had 2 years with Hugh Freeze where they beat Alabama's both years. Miami was not good during those years either. We weren't, you know what I'm saying, that competitive. That being stated, those are rebuilds. We went 9-4. We were ranked nationally, you know what I'm saying, as far as our offense. Our offensive coordinator was so successful, he got a head coaching job. Usually during there is a rebuild, you don't have a successful defense. You don't have a successful offense. You got problems on both sides of the ball. We had talent. So, Mario ended up, you know what I'm saying, inheriting a team that not only went 9-4, but they had a lot of talent. You know what I'm saying? They had a 5-star in Leonard Taylor who was already on the team. Now, at the end of the day, I'm not saying that, Manny didn't have some losses that were not on point, but regardless, you know what I'm saying? Like there was enough talent there to the point where there is no rebuild. You don't have to go 5-7 after you go 9-4. That's not what you do. Then you don't say we need time to get the culture out. You could have improved the O-line and the defense and really went 10-2. Danny Lanning took over the reins at Oregon. Oregon didn't have a huge, drop off, right? Just because Mario left, you think Danny Lanning said, hey, you know what? I got to do it my way. No. Second year, they only have one loss. So I think at the end of the day, it's like, look, when it gets down to it, that is right there is what Miami should really be comparing to. Because Oregon is actually still a little bit better than Miami. They've been, you know what I'm saying, way more competitive in the Pac-12 than what we've been in the ACC. But still, talent level the same. And it's like Danny Lanning didn't have to go 5-7. His fans didn't have to make any excuses. Once again, Oregon's fans told us this. But Miami fans, they're delusional. Half of these podcasts, they're delusional. He needs more time. Now, let's compare Georgia. Kirby Smart got there. Was that a rebuild? No. He had a team that was not elite, but there was enough talent there. So they got better and better every year. They didn't have to go 5-7 or 6-7. No, took that same team after Mark Richt left, and next thing you know, they're competing for national championships. They're the top tier, you know what I'm saying, of the SEC. And it's not like they just went in there and blew Alabama out. Nah, there were growing pains as far as getting to that elite level. Mark Richt came to Miami. So even then, you know what? We got our recruiting up. We were able to have a marquee victory, Notre Dame, a top 10, you know what I'm saying, prime time victory. All right, we had the alumni, you know what I'm saying, base going in a frenzy. On top of that, he also got the campaign kicking off for our donors to get some more facilities built. Now, Mario has probably improved recruiting, and he's probably I'm not gonna say, you know what I'm saying, re-enthusiasm, because it's not like, you know, under Manny we were down. We just were not elite. You know, we had some very, very bad losses, but still, from Mark Richt to Manny, you've got some type of foundation being laid in everywhere, you know, as far as okay, trying to recruit and trying to make sure that we have some type of culture where it's like, okay, we have one. Mario comes in and you go 5-7, that's a goddamn embarrassment. It's a goddamn embarrassment. Honestly, it's really on some Al Golden shit. I don't know what cocaine y'all are snorting, but you don't make excuses for somebody that making $8 million. You're supposed to scrutinize them, and you should have did it from day one, because we said, listen, this guy got his ass whooped 2 times in the same way, and he did boneheaded things. What has he done this season? Well, he has a boneheaded, not wanting to take a knee with a game that should have been won, and then you got an offense that can't score. Kind of look like 5-7 to me, and it kind of looks like the same thing that we said. Why is it you have an offense that can't perform when you got here, we had an offense that was working? The car was working. What do you mean? So you know what? It's not a rebuild. Here's a guy who, and then he goes to an air raid offense next. Why? Because Gaddis couldn't work. What we have is a coach that wants to do things his way, and he's never rebuilt. Y'all can jump in the comments for me, but I'm like, listen, I don't think you rebuilt FIU. You know what I'm saying? FIU was cool while you were there. Shoot, if anything, Butch Davis had FIU clicking. FIU ain't supposed to be, ain't supposed to be ever lose to FIU. But Butch Davis, our old coach, who does know how to navigate a rebuild, who does know how to have a team clicking and firing all cylinders during a probation period. You know what I'm saying? He had FIU clicking. At the end of the day, it's really just no excuse for this. At the, and I called it last game. Did I not tell y'all Louisville game would be one of the best games we played? And what I could have added to that is we can win the game, but if it comes down to situational football, of course we're not gonna win. Why? You know, I heard a lot of people saying, "Oh, you know, we want to blame Mario. He don't run the offense." Yes, he does, because he needs. One thing we can say about Manny is, man, he wasn't controlling Rhett Lashley. You have a coordinator come in. You don't handicap and tell your offensive coordinator what you need, in the sense of, well, are you gonna, you don't have an interview with Shannon Dawson and say, are you gonna do a throw? You need to be like, are you gonna put us in situations where we can win? Whatever you need to do, you're an air raid disciple. So I understand that you have a philosophy, but you went to air raid because you realized that's what the value with the team is. That's how they were just winning. So at the end of the day, I just think it's an excuse. Who knows what the future holds, but you're going to get more of this next year. Eventually, though, I do think we're going to go 9-4, maybe even a 10-2, but you can't hold your breath from that. I think that 2 years away from that. That's my take.
See, and I don't. I think we could be that right now. We
Oh, we
should
should have.
we should be that right now. Missouri, their coach, he's in the second year, and they're sitting at 8 or 9-2 right now, 2 losses, ranked very high, looking like going to be a perennial player in the SEC for years to come. my issue, and I think we've been talking about this. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you have all the talent there? You have all the talent. So, like, the talent pool usually is the issue with rebuilds. Prime is going through it in Colorado. He had to bring in 83 new players.
That's an extreme rebuild, by
That's
the
an
way.
extreme rebuild. But you got teams like South Carolina, Virginia Tech. You got teams that are going through rebuild because they have to rebuild the talent pool. Sometimes when like a major coach leave, like Frank Beamer, like he's the brand of the university. So some players may not want to come and play when the coach isn't there. So like maybe you have to bring in a coach that has a brand that builds the brand of the university back up. So Miami has the brand. Miami has so he's the coach. He's the guy, right? He's the guy that we wanted. We went and got Mario. It's just wasn't like we didn't interview nobody else. So wasn't like nobody. There was no opportunity for no other coaches. Mario was the guy. You have the talent pool. We've had top 15 recruiting classes since he's been there. So we got number 4 recruit. So it isn't like we're not getting the recruits. The talent pool is there. The money for the facilities and all that stuff is there. NIL is there. You came in. A lot of teams is like they got to get a quarterback. I'm sorry, as much as y'all want to talk about TVD, he was ACC Rookie of the Year, right? He didn't start that year. Y'all, people forget like he came in not expecting to play. Derek King was the starter. He came in and took over and like went ham, went crazy. But that was with Rhett Lashley. So okay, so if you have the quarterback who should be somebody you can rely on, you got to trust the quarterback, so you don't have to worry about that part. You have all the talent, you have the talent pool, you have everything else that's there. It's actually ready made for you to step in year one and go 8-2. We should be in the hunt right now, not just the ACC hunt. We should be in the hunt where when they talk about Miami's back, Miami should be back. You look at offensive line, our offensive line play has been better than I can't even remember. I remember the last time our offensive line play has been this good. Tackling, it's gotten a little worse.
It's gotten a little bit
But it's
better. And
gotten no. Compared to the many years,
yes,
is
yes,
hundreds of times better.
yes,
All right.
it is.
Our
It is.
secondary play, not necessarily our safeties, because we had like Jaquan Johnson, we've had like Sheldrick Redron, we've had some safeties that have been pretty good, but our cornerback play have been shoddy. Cornerback play has been solid. To Corey Couch, we had been on his ass, but he's been solid this past week.
Yes.
So we can't really say like where's the issue. That's what I'm saying. Where is it at? You can't say, oh, we don't got an O line. We got an O line. We don't have, our defensive line is trash. No, our defensive line, our rush defense is great. So like, where's the problem for us to be sitting at 6-5 right now? So if all those other things are in play, that those things aren't in play when you're doing a rebuild. For us, that's why we say it's not a rebuild, because all those other things are in play. Who else can you go to? You can't say it's Gaddis. He's gone. So you got the air raid. You can't say it's the defense. All right. You got Gidry. You trust Gidry. You like Gidry. All right. I mean, if it's a duck, it's a duck. I can't go to nobody else but the top. And the top is Mario. And Mario being the head guy, the person who makes the ultimate decisions, I feel like he's not the guy to make the ultimate decision. I think he's if there was a position like a head recruiter, like assistant coach, that's what he would be. He would be like somebody who he doesn't seem like he could control all of the game, all of the offense, all of the defense, make the crucial decisions, call the timeouts when they need to call, go for fourth down when they need to go for it. Like all those things, it feels like he can't do. What he can do is recruit. And I guess, like he's not ever going to get out of that position as being a good recruiter. That's why we're going to have his back somewhat, because he's going to get them sexy recruits in. You'll have some that'll flip like Cormani McLean, but he playing trash out in Colorado, so I don't miss him anyway. But outside of that, it's like, what coaching job has he done? I keep referencing Nick Saban. You don't think of Alabama as a rebuild because of the brand. But if you look at Alabama compared to years past, they're not just loaded with NFL talent throughout that team. Their quarterback play was bad this year. But the coaching job of Saban and his staff got them playing where they're at, and teams are scared as hell to play Alabama right now.
They
So,
don't like it when you compare. They didn't like it when we compared. Well, I guess to somebody on Twitter, but they didn't like it when they compared them to Ole Miss. So they damn sure not gonna like it when you compare
no,
them to.
but check it out. But I mean, what else can you say about what Nick Saban has done with a quarterback that we both said this? He can't throw. He can't throw. He can't throw.
Well,
So
he's
like,
developed. Good coaches develop talent.
come
Good
on,
coaches. Here's what you pay somebody $8 million for. You mentioned Missouri, right? I bet you didn't know. You know their running back Schrader, right?
man.
You know he's 5'7", right? You know he's a walk on.
Yeah,
He was
walk
a
on.
walk on. Yeah, he was a walk on. He got a scholarship this year. Now there are gems that you pass over, but a lot of times it's coaching people up and making them better, limit their mistakes. So when you mention Alabama, it's the same thing. It's, listen, what we're gonna do is we're gonna add scrambling to Jalen Milroe, right? And we're gonna make sure that if you little nuances, like if you notice Jalen, he doesn't throw too many interceptions. Why? Because if he throws a receiver, he overthrows him. He doesn't underthrow. So they're gonna limit. They're gonna strip down the playbook. They're gonna play to his strengths. Why did TBD play so great last game? Because they stripped it down. They gave him easy reads with Rhett Lashley. Why is our fan base so rabid about firing the player when they don't understand it's the coach? How is it that he played? He played the way he played last game was the way that he should have played the whole year. And even when it got down to it, some of the play calling sucks. Why? Because Rhett Lashley left you guys the playbook. So when you can't develop the talent, you can get great talent, but if you don't develop them, then they're not going to be good. As we said in the last video, Justin Herbert was great, but he was not elite. He's playing way better in the NFL. Why is Danny Lanning taking that same team with Bo Nix? Bo Nix is not anywhere near good as Justin Herbert. Bo Nix actually has sucked most of his career. He's out there, dark horse Heisman with the same team. So you mean to tell me in year number 2 under Danny Lanning, I'm thinking it's year number 2, right? Yeah, because we have Oregon's ex-coach, right? Year number 2, they have one loss. They have one loss in year number 2. But what you're gonna say though is we want to listen.
Hey, was that a rebuild? Was Oregon a rebuild?
No, it wasn't a rebuild.
Hey,
not just that.
Hey, Judge, I rest my case. Like, come on.
Oregon wasn't a rebuild. They had talent there. Matter of fact, when Cristobal became coach, there wasn't a rebuild because we already know they had a lot of food in the cupboard. They had talent on that roster. They had different playmakers. We should know it because they get them from South Florida. The hell is y'all smoking? So Danny Lanning is doing what Cristobal should have done. Look. Do you think Oregon fans are livid now? Do you think they're pissed off? No, they're happy because now they have a coach who was able to get the most out of that roster in year number 2.
Listen, and we follow Bo Nix at Auburn. The boy, well, he was not like that. All this, Bo Nix. You know, the hype train follows you when you get hot. But we remember them Auburn days, and they weren't pretty.
You want to hear something crazy though? Bo Nix, and I think it was the second or third year that Cristobal was there. Auburn beat Oregon, and Oregon had a more talented roster with Bo Nix as the quarterback. I remember that. And they were up, and they had a better team. Mario will underachieve when he gets top recruits, and he won't develop them, and he won't play situational coaching. Okay, we said, you know what? And my feeling with Mario is I was like, okay, look, we'll get to be 10-2. He can't win with a great quarterback. He can't win with a stacked roster in a weak ACC. You see, when we have any type of offense, listen, we could have beat Louisville. If we play like that the whole year, who we really going to lose to? We're really not even going to lose to North Carolina. No. But what it gets down to is this. You know, these fans, they're calling for TVD's head, not realizing that it's Mario. This man is great. He went 9-4. Last year even looks worse. So you mean to tell me we could not move the ball last year? So we had to get not just beat by Middle Tennessee. We can't put up any points. No, it's because Mario wants to do what he wants to do, and y'all gonna believe it. Then you're gonna say, well, it's a rebuild. Well, he needs to do this. He's never done what you're asking him to do. Mario has never been an elite coach and developed talent or coaching situations. He is an elite recruiter. You keep telling me that your head baker is about to be, you know what I'm saying? He's about to work behind the grill. That ain't what he does. And I think, and like you said, we gave credit where it's due. The O-line is much better. You know what I'm saying? The defense is much better. But you get paid $8 million and you already had those recruits. So I'm just still, I'm still looking at it like, well, what's going on? What's the problem?
And they keep saying, oh, it's a year 4. Wait till year 4, year 5. For what? More recruits? I feel like we can take this team exactly how it is established. Every single player that's on this team in the next 2-3 years be competing for college football playoffs. With the same team, no more recruits, no more new players.
You think Danny Lanning can't get these boys up? You think Lane Kiffin can't?
Think about all the talent that ain't even on the field. We don't even see Ray Joseph on the field.
No, we don't.
Then Frank Latson, wasn't he supposed to be some big time player for Clemson that transferred in? I don't even see him on the field at all.
Listen, I could tell that they're not developing. And like I said, and I get that, but my biggest thing is just that if you would have, if let's just say Mario would at least been decent in coaching situations, then maybe we only got 2 losses. You don't have the Georgia Tech loss. You got the Florida State loss, and you pretty much, you got the loss to North Carolina. And you live with those. You're not happy about them. You say you need to get better with the coaching situations, but you make $8 million. But these podcasters, they're delusional with their analysis. They're using the word rebuild. So you're going to start off a lie. Georgia wasn't a rebuild. Oregon wasn't a rebuild. Miami's not a rebuild. He wants to get his culture. What culture? When he was at Oregon, that team was stacked and he underachieved. Now in year number 2, Danny Lanning is doing good. So, when it gets down to it, man, I just think that people are going to continue to look for things that they're just not going to get, and it's going to be what it's going to be. So, you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, I just think that, I just think we need to be prepared to have low expectations. This team is going to underachieve every single year. That's just what it is. And we're going to get out coached. So when we play good teams, we're going to get out coached. Sooner or later, the rest of the ACC is going to catch up, and there's going to be other things to be said. And then, you know what? We just going to have to eat it. Bottom line is this. I think that we're going to have a great recruiting class. I think that we're going to have a great schedule next year, and the playoff is going to 12 teams. But I don't think you need to look for UM. UM is not really gonna still be able to compete as far as winning that ACC. But they're gonna have some of the most talented teams that you're ever gonna see. But and my last point is about the play calling. I still don't feel like Dawson is able to call everything he wants to call, because why would he call so many predictable plays? Why he's a student of air raid, so he watched Rhett Lashley. Rhett Lashley, elite play caller. Remember, I told you that when we hired him, I was like, we got an offense, and I was even then I was like, listen, I don't know nothing else, but I know we're going to be able to score, and that's what we did. We would outscore teams. I'm talking about the play calling phenomenal, and people would be like, he's not running enough. We can't run, but guess what he would do? He would run anyway, just so we can throw. And he's running that same offense. Watch SMU play. I'm telling you, if Rhett Lashley was our offensive coordinator, we'd probably be averaging something like 48 points a
Mm.
game. It is what it is. Y'all got to stop making excuses and just call it what it is. And then next year, you're going to hit me, oh, we're ready to fire him. Nah, we already told you this was not the coach. This was not the coach. You want somebody who can at least coach. There are better coaches at Middle Tennessee. I think Middle Tennessee, when they beat our asses, they could have took this same squad and had them prepared to play. So there are a lot of coaches at small schools right now who could coach this talent up. So
Yeah, and it's no more excuses. There's no more excuses. It's not. We don't need year
I got a
four.
question for you too. So TBD might not come back. Do you think he should if you were TBD?
No, I actually think you said it earlier. He should go find Rhett and go to SMU. Transfer to SMU. Transfer to SMU. I think that'll get him back. Like TVD, I believe TVD has NFL talent. If
I
you
think he
want to
does too.
showcase NFL talent, go to a place where it's going to play to your strengths. You go to SMU, and let's say he goes to SMU and ball out. Now it's almost like a Bo Nix thing, right? Bo Nix is what, a 5th year senior, 6th year senior. He's been in college football for a long time. At Auburn, he came in with the hype, but he wasn't looked at as NFL talent. He's at Oregon. Now he's looked at as NFL talent, right? He got a Heisman campaign and everything. TVD goes and does the same thing. His name is at least getting called on at least the second day of the draft. Right now,
Houston, he can go to Houston with Dana Holgerson. He can even maybe, I know where West Virginia is where Will Greer went after he left Florida. And the same thing, he went to a place that runs some type of air raid. He needs to be in an air raid system with a competent OC, and he's gonna ball out. And then you know what we're gonna say? Oh, the Rabbit fans are gonna be like, well, he didn't do it for us. No, you freaking idiots. They didn't get him anybody who could coach him and call the correct plays. I'm telling you, I think Shannon Dawson is raw. If Shannon Dawson could call what he wanted to call most times, it would be better. Ultimately, it is what it is. But, you ain't got no last no last things. We can go ahead and just shoot. So, you got any last thoughts?
um, yeah. I just think, man, people gotta get through their head. It's Mario. We're gonna have to stay on Mario. Y'all year 4, year 5 people, year 6 people, like nah, it ain't gonna happen at that time. We're gonna be looking at the same thing every year. We're gonna have losses that we shouldn't have. Competing for ACC title, even if it's not TVD. All right, so Emory Williams get out there and he don't perform. Then what? Then who is it then? So I just say, we're gonna keep looking at what's going on with like the coaching tendencies. What's Mario past? Like, what has he been doing? And is this acceptable for you as a fan? Somebody getting paid $8 million a year with the coaching recruiting class is 6 and 5 acceptable? Are you really gonna be like at the end of this year when you evaluate what's going on and you're evaluating right now? Are you saying based on all the information that you know, 6 and 5 is acceptable for this Miami Hurricanes team? I say absolutely not. Some of y'all say yes, it's a rebuild.
I
Blah blah
mean,
blah.
they're probably going to win against Boston College, right? We hope 7-5. So you know what they're going to say? Hey, buddy, we went 5-7. Now we went 7-5. Not realizing, did you really have to go 5-7? Did you really have to go 5-7? You really had to get beat down by Middle Tennessee? Come
Yeah,
on, man.
not acceptable. Not
I want
acceptable.
everybody else to watch Danny Lanning ball at Oregon, okay? Ball at Oregon with a slightly less roster. Ball.
But yeah, that's all I got.
That's all I got too, man.
Well, so you play a partner from the bottom of the map.
On the
Till
bottom.
next time,
We out.
we go.